What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, you guys are having a fantastic day. I know I am because I get to paint again, and I haven't done it for probably like 5 days or something like that. So I'm super pumped. I'm super stoked to be painting and editing this video here. So we will just jump into it. This whole video is probably going to be nothing but using black. I did swap out my airbrush from the Iwata. Now I'm using the Harder and Steenbeck Chameleon, and I went from the Iwata, which was the 0.5, and then now my Chameleon, I swapped it out with a 0.4 needle, and I kind of thickened my paint up just a little bit, so I have a little bit more of a heavier black rather than, having a transparent black. I'm just going in and just adding shadows and, punching back a lot of that overspray. But here coming up, I will, when I do more of the fine detail, I will reduce my black down so it's a lot more transparent. And I'll be switching out my needle from this 0.4 and I'll be dropping down to a 0.2. So I'll be getting a little bit smaller. My air is going to go down and my reducer is going to go in with the black to thin it out a lot more. And if you're just starting out painting, just go ahead and use like 2 colors, because you can do a lot with just 2 colors than, thinking you need to order like a bunch of paint. I still like doing black and white. It's simple. You can get a lot of detail with it. And, just by using 2 colors, you can pull off some really, really good stuff. And I always like to add in, a color or 2 just to kind of, break up the black and white to my picture. Yeah, I mean, start out with like a really easy picture. You don't have to do like, a celebrity or something like that, or anything, that has a lot of detail in it. Because I remember when I was back in art school, we were drawing, I think, like Art 1 or something like that. We were drawing like shapes, like circles and squares and stuff like that, and adding in, like a little bit of detail, adding in shadows and the way the light bounces off and gives a reflection. So start out easy, start out simple, do something, that doesn't have a whole lot in it, just to kind of, get, familiar with the airbrush and the paint and the air, and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely don't set the bar super high. You want to get better and you want to progress, but don't compare yourself with a bunch of other people out there that are really good, that's been doing it for a really long time. You just do what you can do the best you can, and you just be happy with that, because art is art and everybody has their own style and their own way of doing it. So as long as you're having fun, that is all that matters. All right, let's roll back to the picture. I am using the stencil just a little bit, just to kind of get some hard edges. But all we're doing is we're just shadowing him up with the black, pushing back some of this overspray and kind of darkening him up. So if you noticed already, I got my airbrush moved closer to the canvas. And like the last video that I was just using the airbrush, at a good distance away, because we were just bringing out the shape of the alien. So now I'm moving in to get more precision, more precise, and not having a lot of overspray getting on, parts where I don't want to. I'm still just kind of free flowing around the picture, and we're not going to add details until probably the next video. All right, my plan that I think I have figured out is I'm gonna, after when I'm finished with this black, my next video coming up, I'm gonna be going over with the white gel pens, and then I will be going over with some white paint, bringing out some even more highlights, and then probably going back to black one more time, and then going back to white, and then I should be done. That's what I'm hoping for. So hopefully it goes to plan, and so far so good. He's coming along really good, and I don't have, no complaints on him yet, because, I like to listen to music while I'm painting. So just kind of find something you guys like to do. If you guys like a quiet room, then, do your art and your drawing in a quiet room. If you like, music, then crank up the music. Find something that, that suits you, and that's, you got a comfortable atmosphere, and, surround yourself with that, and, it will be a whole lot more of a better experience for you. Let's talk about the airbrush that I'm using. This is called the Harder and Steenbeck Chameleon 2.1. The 2.1 is referring to, you get 2 needles and 2 different size tips and 2 different nozzles with this airbrush. It goes from a 0.4 needle, and then you can convert it over to a 0.2. So there's just a thinner needle. But if you're using the thinner needle, you got to make sure your paint is reduced down, because it's really picky. The smaller needles are going to be picky, so if you put some thick paint into that, it's going to clog all up, and then you're going to have to take it apart and clean it again. So just stay on top of that. As far as this right now, I'm just using the 0.4, and I'm just rolling with that. That's why I got my paint a little bit thicker. If I were to take a guess on how thick my paint is, I would probably say maybe 40-60 or 50-50. Meaning, 50% paint, 50% reducer. It's probably somewhere in that ballpark. I got my air turned up just a little bit. And here I am getting back on the stencil, because I like using the stencil. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not cheating, okay? You just do however you want to. So if you think you need a stencil, then use a stencil. If you like to freehand, or if you like to use tape or mask off or use tracing paper, then by all means go for it, because there is no rules to making art. You do what you can do, you do what you want to do, and just roll with it. Let me give you a little bit of a backstory on when I first started airbrushing. I was around 17 years old. I only painted for a year, so I only went from 17 to 18, and then I quit painting. It was a birthday present, or it was a Christmas present, I can't remember, that my mom bought for me. It was the Iwata Revolution. I still have it. But I just relied on nothing but stencils. I drew up onto a piece of paper, and I just cut them out with a razor blade, and that's how I did my art, was with nothing but a stencil and an airbrush. I used my dad's compressor. He had a little 2-gallon compressor, so I used that in the meantime. But like I said, I didn't pursue it anymore after when I was 18 and I moved out. So here, the past 4 years, I bought me my house, so I picked it back up at the age of 27 or so, and now that I'm working with water-based paint, now it's a lot cleaner, and the fumes are not as potent as what some of the paints that I was using back then. So yeah, when I would turn 27, I got me the Iwata Custom Micron. So I just wanted to go out on a limb and just get me a really nice airbrush. Well, I bought me some black paint. I wanted to perfect using just one color and not having to worry about, all the other colors. So I was committed into figuring out and getting to paint with just the one color. I didn't know anything about reducing paint. I just kind of winged it, and I kind of looked off the internet to kind of get some advice and stuff. But other than that, I just kind of figured it out on my own. One thing that really helps me out big time, and it might sound super easy, but is cleaning the airbrush like super good. I can't even tell you, like, even the littlest flaw inside the airbrush, like whether it's a little piece of paint that's kind of stuck anywhere, you're gonna have a lot of hangups, and if you can't get it pushed through, then it's gonna eventually build up, and then you ain't gonna be able to paint no more. It's just gonna be a really tough time. So I always made a really good habit of cleaning that thing thoroughly, like really good. I just use an airbrush cleaner, and after, when I'm done painting, I strip it all down, I clean it all up, and I leave it all disassembled for it to kind of dry out, just in case if there's some of the cleaner that's left in there. But the next day when I wake up and I'm ready to paint, then I put it all back together, and then I know that I got a fresh, new, clean airbrush that is gonna work for me. He's coming along, but we still got a little ways to go. So just to do a recap, I use these little stencils that I have here. I always like using little stencils here and there. They help out. I got me my over-reduced black paint. I got probably a 50-50 mix in here between the paint and the reducer. Then my airbrush that I use throughout this whole video is the Harder and Steenbeck Chameleon 2-in-1, which I'm just using the 0.4mm needle right now. I do have the MAC valve right here, so this allows me to turn my air pressure down and turn it up. But there it is. This is what we have so far. So I want to just say thanks for everybody for watching and commenting and stuff like that. So stay tuned. We are going to be coming back for some super duper highlights, because we got all the shadowing done here. So we're bringing out the highlights here coming up. So hopefully you guys are having fun and keep on painting, and I will see you in the next video.